Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time! Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Ayler's gone! Goodbye, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. Another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming at you on this Friday. I hope you had a great week. And if not, don't worry about it. It's over. And we've hit the weekend. Lots going on. Looking forward to getting Todd Liry on. Lots of football yesterday that we talked about. And today there is plenty of basketball to talk about. Of course, tonight, the Pacers have the opportunity to put themselves in a position that the franchise has never been in, as in the NBA at least. And that is on the precipice of winning an NBA title. Tonight, that game is just like the last game I talked about. It was a must win. They couldn't lose that game to win the series, I didn't think. It's the same with this. They have to win this game. If they lose at home, then you've lost home court advantage, and now you give momentum to Oklahoma City going back, and so it'll go the other way. But hey, they've got to play the game tonight. If the Pacers get this game, put this game away, then mercy. They'll be up 3-1, baby. And we already have the stat that teams that win game 3 of a 1-1 series go on to win the title 80% of the time. So they have the things on their side that they need. Home court tonight. They're up 2-1 and a chance to put some space, man, some space for the NBA championship. So we'll talk more about that. Todd Liry will jump on with us a little bit. Zach Osterman and Kyler Staley today instead of Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com as the team camps are going on at IU this weekend as well. I don't know exactly how many teams are. I'd have to count them, but I can tell you this. From 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock that night, there are 3 games every hour on the hour. Just boom, 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 boom. That's a lot of games, man. That's a lot of basketball. So then that'll be going on tomorrow. Several high schools, Jeffersonville, the reigning state championship, Jeffersonville versus Fishers, a replay of a state championship, although these teams are nothing like they were when they met. Well, I shouldn't say they're different. They've got different players on there. They don't have Trey Singleton, of course, for Jeffersonville, and Fishers, of course. Got Jason Gardner Jr., Joe, though. So looking forward to seeing some of these guys in action. And then you've got the deal going on down in Rock Hill, South Carolina as well, which you can get great updates on at thehoosier.com. Has tons of information in there about that. 4-star power forward Trey Thompson recaps his visits to Tennessee and Purdue and is looking to visit Indiana here soon. So we'll talk about that and lots of others from the MBPA Top 100 camp going on down there, as Jamie Shaw is down there covering that for us. We'll take I guess then we'll take a break or just jump in and get Todd Liry on here. Bring in the Todd Father. How is the Todd Father today?
Well, the Todd Father is good. Ready to roll. Good weekend.
For the YouTube portion of it, under your name, that's where that should say myjumpshot.com. I've noticed that a long time ago. It's just something that probably accidentally got done and never changed. And I'm like, hey man, we got to get the myjumpshot.com on there.
We'll fix it.
Got to spread the word.
That's right.
How not good for outdoor basketball today. That's certainly the rain snuck in. I didn't know that it was supposed to rain today.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden like we live in Seattle, or even Florida. Like it's supposed to rain at some point in time every day. It seems a bit ridiculous already in June.
Let me tell you who left their sunroof open.
No.
Oh, and that's not the first time this year.
Yeah.
The reason it was open was because of the first time this year.
At your age, is it ADD or ADHD? Like what?
It's ADHD.
ADHD. There we go.
It's confirmed, baby. There's no guessing here. I was diagnosed a long time ago, but I did that on purpose because I had made that horrible mistake the first time, and let me tell you, it poured that first time. It was like I drove into a flood.
Yeah,
I might as well have. But team camps going on. Did they have team camps way back in your day? I've been wanting to use that line for 2 days. I've been thinking about that.
No, well, if they did, we didn't go to it. So no, I don't think that they did. I think Coach Knight's, it was pretty legendary. His basketball camp. I mean. And when you talk to people in our age bracket, like everyone went to Bob Knight camp at some point in time. Now I was one of those people. I went every year. My dad even had me go twice one year, back-to-back weeks. And if you're not familiar with it, Coach Knight's camp was the hardest camp you've ever been to. It was all drills for the most part.
It sounds like a fun time.
It sucked. As a kid, it sucked.
But everybody wanted that shirt, man.
Yeah, and I mean, it was the thing back then. Like, there was 5-star camp and all that. That was much more fun. That was mostly just games and things like that. But boy, Bob Knight camp was not fun.
And that was pretty big. I mean, within the state, it was like the biggest thing for kids to go to, I think.
No doubt about it. It was. Everyone my age, whether you were a Indiana fan or not, like all of my buddies, like everyone, we all went to it. Like everyone went to Bob Knight camp, and there were so many kids at it, and it went for so many sessions, and it was, now that I think about it, there actually might have been a team camp, especially later on when I got it closer to high school. I think there might have been. My team never went to it, but I think there might have been actually.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember if they were going on. Or not, but there are. I sent that. I text to you because it's unbelievable how many teams there are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I didn't count them. I'm like, I'm not counting all that. There was just too damn many. But I mentioned earlier that starting at 8 a.m., it's like an AAU event. Starting at 8 a.m., 3 games going, boom, every hour on the hour, 3 more games. Well, and so many different teams from out of the state, all around the state. Former state champion Jeffersonville in there.
Yeah, since the IHSAA, or pretty much, it's not just the IHSAA, so I'm not going to pin it off on them, but most states adapt the June is like high school basketball month, and their teams practice together. They go through a lot of drills, and they go to these camps, and they go play in some tournaments. And it's a great way to just get some, not in-season workouts and get, see who's going to be coming up. I mean, heck, high school is not a lot different than the transfer portal anymore, where you got different guys at new schools and just getting acclimated with coaches and all that. So it's a great event. This one happened, you get to play in Assembly Hall some of the games, so that makes it cool. But it's a big deal. And it's an awesome thing for coaches to be able to work with their kids at this time of the year.
Yeah, I wish I still had my Archie Miller camp T-shirt. I don't have that. I lost it, I think. Yeah.
You wish you still had that?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh man. So all that going on out there, and it's an opportunity. It's probably, especially for Darren DeVries, it's an opportunity for him to to kind of touch out into the state without having to go anywhere.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity, given his first year at Indiana, a great chance to meet the coaches from around the state that you're going to try to meet all of them, but you're not even going to come close in your first year. And this is a great opportunity. You got a bunch of them coming to you, and yeah, this will be a politics weekend for him where he is meeting so many different coaches. He won't hardly remember very many of them. But yeah, it's a really good opportunity, not just for the teams, but when you're a new coach in a new state where basketball is as big as it is in high school, this is a good opportunity for Coach DeVries to meet a lot of those coaches.
And for there's some of the assistants, and I know that not everybody kind of has an area that they recruit, but it's always good for the assistants to have some kind of relationship with coaches because you never know, kids moving in, yada yada,
No doubt.
Whatever the case may be.
And those guys do the majority of the recruiting, like Coach DeVries does. I'm not saying that, but I mean those guys are the first contacts. They're the daily contacts. They're the ones.
Boots on the ground, baby.
They are, and they're the ones doing the volume contact with athletes, and you never know. Like those guys have to, piece out or find guys that potentially could become recruits. They might not be yet. They might be 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders, but they could develop themselves into. They need to find out how big's the kid's parents, how tall is he going to be? Like. Those are all the things assistant coaches have to put the time in and find out.
They also the string of visits coming this weekend. So there's so much going on. But Sammy Jackson, one of those kids coming in, Indiana will be hosting. So man, that's got to be hard too. Now you've got these team camps that go on all day Saturday, and you've got an official visit that's going on. Got to host that. Stretching thin, man. That's people. This is where the coaches are doing the work that people don't see and probably don't understand.
And when he was introduced at his press conference, and I told you sitting there how excited I was for him, it's because he wants to do the work. And this comment isn't to badmouth the former staff that was there. I'll just say that this staff works harder. And this staff works more like what a new regime at a new school should be doing. And they are going to be there. They are going to be meeting all these kids. They're not afraid to bring a kid in and host him on a weekend. They've got all of these coaches coming in. They know they're putting the work in. And that's what I love about this staff as much as anything.
Yeah, and they have hit the ground. I've said this a lot. They've hit the ground running with recruiting after they got the roster filled to where it is, at least to this point right now. And then they went out and started hitting the ground and talking and offering serious players. Right. But there's a difference between offering guys and making those relationships, and they've done a good job of that. As a matter of fact, Sammy Jackson is coming straight from the MBPA Top 100 camp where he's been for the last couple of days. So his visit's coming off of that. And this is the time, man. You got to make hay when the sun's shining, and the sun's not shining outside right now, but you got to make hay.
In the basketball world, it's shining. And there is really no off season. That's the one thing when I tell people, when they ask, what's something people wouldn't know about, your time at Indiana and all that. There is no off season. Like there's time when, you're not playing games and all that, but we stayed all summers when we were there. We worked out pretty much year round. I mean, we had no kidding, maybe 1 week off after the season was over. And then it started up immediately. And so that's where these guys are at. They're a bunch of new guys. So they're getting acclimated to the new environment. They're getting acclimated to the new coaches. Coaches are getting acclimated to them, the workout schedules. But, I've heard from sources that are there playing that, it's going well and they get along and they like each other and the locker room is going to be fun. So that's a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, we've had some people talking about who's doing what, and those guys getting together. Trent Sisley, good words about Trent Sisley. I know that he's been playing well, and then also having a day that's rough. And I'm like, well, guess what? That ain't going to be the last one. There's going to be a whole bunch of those, baby.
And think about it. Like you can remember back to when you were in high school and you were a freshman playing against guys that were 4 years more mature than you. And yeah, it's a smaller gap, but still a gap. And when you're an 18-year-old playing against 21, 22-year-olds, in some cases, fifth-year seniors, maybe 23-year-olds, that's a big developmental time. And, old man strength's not a myth. It's a thing. And you start developing it. That's a big 5 years right there of old man strength that you start gaining. And it's a big deal. I know the physicality was one of the things that I think Trent, I'm not going to say was surprised about, but recognized right off the bat that he was going to have to become more physical. And the earlier you learn that, the better.
And he set himself up for that, though, before he at Heritage Hills, man, he was getting the crap beat out on him. So you get to go through that. And then you get. This
is why I said it was good for him to go to Mount Verde, because he was going to be battling guys that are his size versus in practice, you're the biggest guy on your team and you're just not doing that. Now, that doesn't mean I dislike Silver Creek or that area I wish nothing but the best for that. But for Trent Sisley's development, it was much better for him to go practice with that physicality every day.
Heritage Hills.
Yeah, my bad.
And I was like, hey, you're getting over close, man. I know what you're doing. I know it's no, I'm kidding. Yeah, but exactly. I agreed with that instantly as well. I mean, it was a business decision move.
Sure, it was.
In essence. I mean, you're betting on yourself.
Right.
And I will say that he's one of those kids that Indiana fans are going to be glad they have. He's going to be here 3-4 years probably, and he's going to bust his ass that whole time.
Yeah, he'll be a crowd favorite. Understanding that the physicality is that much different, not being the cool guy going, oh, yeah, I played great. Like, out of his own mouth, he recognized the fact of he had to increase his physicality, and that was after day one. And I can tell you, I'm not sure I know I wasn't that mature at that point where, I recognized, hey, I am going to have to lift harder and I am going to have to bang more and all that. And the fact that he recognized it that quickly is awesome.
Yeah, I saw in the Hoosier.com where if you're not a subscriber, you should be. $1 for the first month, 50% off for the first year. But Lamar Wilkerson, shooting the ball, man. He was known as a shooter, but he's coming in and apparently is lacing it up and putting it in.
Yeah, and those are all great things to hear. Like you want a guy to get comfortable, and that's what this opportunity is. You get comfortable with the guys you're playing with and all that, but you get comfortable with Assembly Hall and the rims and the environment and all of that, and let it be a home court advantage. And this team, Indiana University, forget who the coaching staff has been. If you look over the last 20, 25 years, they have not been a consistently good shooting team. They've had years they shot the ball well, but not had guys that could just stand out there and knock it down. And I think this roster appears to be built a lot more along those lines.
Absolutely it is. And we've got more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Back with it and more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. So glad to have you along on this rainy Friday. I should mention, a little sneaky rain snuck in on us. That was the perfect example. Todd Liry from myjumpshot.com with us. Say like Florida, it was like a little pop-up deal, man. I'm still furious with myself, of course, thinking about how when we're done with the show today, I've got to grab some towels and go out and start sopping it up, leaving the sunroof open. Boy, you'd think by now I'd be smarter than that, but it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Oh, yeah. I mentioned Sammy Jackson coming in for an Indiana visit. There are some others that are coming this month right now. Latrell Allman, power forward from John Marshall, Virginia, plays for Team Loaded. He's a 4-star top 25. These guys are all Price Alexander Moody. Latrell comes in next week, I think, and then the week after that is Price Alexander Moody. But got some names coming in that they can impress. A lot of these guys are waiting longer to make their decisions, but there are still some old schoolers that want to get it done before the season starts.
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves. Like, they're waiting until the offers start to increase, and you know, you don't have to look very far outside the state of Indiana to go look at what Braylon Mullins and what happened with him, and how his stock jumped in that one summer. And these guys have the national championships coming up in AAU in July, and you'll see more guys start to, I don't know if they'll sign, but they'll start to make more commitments and narrow their search down to some teams after that July period.
And you just alluded to it in a way, but not only did Braylon Mullins' stock rise, his value rose.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, well, yeah. And how, I mean, that's huge in today's market.
Sure,
especially as the market has not found its peak yet. It's still
yet. Yep.
climbing.
Yep.
And I mean, and we're talking, it's like doubled over last year, basically, year over year. And so that obviously can't continue. So it's probably close, I would think, to finding its spot, especially with rev share coming on starting, July 1st, that starts. So that may help that as well. We'll have to see. I don't know all that stuff, but that may help with that. But I wonder how that will impact, if that would impact guys making commitments earlier or not. But I don't know.
It definitely does. And like I said, like everyone thinks, you know, these guys, it's not just Braylon Mullins. Like, most of these guys bet on themselves. Most of these guys think they're going to get better and they're going to be worth more. Their value is going to go up. And so having the opportunity to go play in front of the coaches, July is a time when it's open recruiting. The coaches can go to watch these guys play against each other in these big national events, the EYBL and Adidas and those, like, being able to play against each other. That's what these coaches want to see. And, you know, like, I remember last year, I was fortunate enough to go to Rock Hill, South Carolina, and watch that event there, and it's impressive watching the amount of talent that there is. I don't blame these guys. It's a business now. It's not just the love of the game anymore. It's a business, and so they have to make decisions that help them make the most amount of money for their business. And I understand it. I wouldn't have agreed with it 30 years ago because it wasn't the way it was back then, but it is the way it is now. And I do understand what these guys are doing, and it's life-changing money. It's not like it's hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars. It's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in some case, millions of dollars. So yeah, it's life-changing money, and I don't blame them for trying to maximize and squeeze every ounce of it out.
No, you can literally be a good college player and set yourself up for life
and be a millionaire. It used to be a big deal when we would graduate with no student loans, and that was the big deal. And now these kids are graduating with a degree. They're finishing school, I should say, some with a degree, but with multi-millions of dollars in their bank account. And that's one way to help get you off to a pretty good start.
Yes, it is. It certainly is.
I had no point of reference with that. I'm just guessing.
Too bad. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that earlier. I'm like, well, I kind of almost feel bad talking about.
Oh, you and me both. It makes my stomach turn.
Yeah, from that. Someone asked this earlier. Who was your main? Did you have a lead recruit on yours, or did yours just happen quickly?
You mean me personally?
Yes.
No, mine was the whole Jay Edwards things where there was no scholarships available. Jay Edwards declared for the NBA, which made a 7th scholarship available. And the same day that he declared for the NBA, Coach Knight called me and I committed that day. I didn't even. Now, that being said, I had been to IU with Eric Montross multiple times. I played on the Bloomington Red AAU team, so I was familiar with Tim Knight and Pat Knight, and Pat was one of my good friends, and Pat Graham, and I played on the team with all these guys, and I'm the first one to admit I only got to play on that team because of Eric Montross, but I took advantage of that opportunity and
I don't know about that.
out of it. Yeah, I get it. I'm not.
Well, hey, Bob Knight had to be convinced to go to recruit Calbert Chaney, so.
True. Yeah, no doubt. Not everyone has the same recruiting story. And I can tell you, when Coach Knight first went and watched Calbert Chaney, he did not want him. Ron Felling had to basically beg him to take Calbert Chaney. And I think Calbert went 3 for 25 the first time Coach Knight went and watched him play. And I know shooting isn't everything and all that, but that's a rough one to come back from. 3 for 25 is rough. And thank goodness for everyone involved that Coach Felling was adamant about sticking with him.
Yeah, and it's different now, but back then, if you knew about, I would not want to know. If I was a recruit, I would not want to know before the game.
Oh, I would.
Bob Knight was going to be there.
I would want to know. Oh, yeah. He always sat up in the corners, and he would come watch us pretty often because of Eric and all of that. And when we played against Greg Graham and Ron Bayless and those guys at Warren Central, Coach Knight would be there. When we would come out for warm-ups, I would be the first guy. I'm a leaderboard watcher, and I was looking up in the stands to see what coaches were there. I can remember Roy Williams being there and Dean Smith being there, and I felt like I played better in front of a crowd like that. And when I was trying to impress them, I felt like I played better. Didn't always work out, but I felt like I did.
Yeah, well, and I was just using that 3 of 25 for Calbert's as a reference that obviously probably it can go the other way too for some people. And I'm not saying that happened to Calbert. He just may have had a bad night. But if that can impact you, man, especially if you're a 17-year-old kid in high school and an imposing figure like that, man, that would probably rattle me a little bit. I'm not as strong as you boys.
And think about it. His whole basketball life could have changed if it weren't for an assistant coach that just fought his butt off for him. Because Calbert's an unbelievable player. But I don't know if he probably would have gone to Evansville if he didn't go to Indiana. And I don't know that he would have had the same career. Transferring wasn't the same back then. You don't go increase your value and then transfer to 4 different schools in 4 years. Like, it just wasn't that way. And Calvert would have been a hometown guy in Evansville. It just goes to show you how, how much the assistant coaches can impact not just a particular player, but the program as a whole. And, Calvert Chaney doesn't end up at Indiana University if it's not for Ron Felling.
Robert says, why would Anthony Leal want to come back when IU is guard loaded and his scholarship could go to another player like a big? Well, first of all, if they could land a big, they would land a big. That's not stopping them. And Todd Liry is doing the magic money with his fingers. Exactly. I mean, it's a paycheck. But I'm wondering why would the staff want?
It's 2 separate questions. The beginning of that, why would Anthony Leal want to come back?
Right.
As long as, look, I was a 5th-year guy. And I wasn't getting paid. As long as you could stay there and if he could make half of the amount of money that he made last year, he would still make more than he's going to make as a business guy in year 1. And plus you get to spend another year, playing basketball. And that's what we all grew up loving and doing. Now, the end of that question was, why would the school want him over at getting, just adding a big guy, even for practice or even for things like that? Well, you can answer that in a multitude of ways, and one being you probably would want the big guy depending on who the big guy is and all that, but you bring in a guy with an attitude like Anthony Leal, and I'm saying that as extremely positively as it can be. That dude is a team player. He's been through the battles, he's been through the fights, he understands it. He's from Bloomington, he knows the area, he knows to tell the kids, don't go to this area, don't go to that area, don't hang out over here, don't go to that party. Having somebody that has done it is never a bad thing. And
it's basically a liaison between the coaching staff and the players.
It used to be called graduate assistant or something like that or whatever. It's basically that, but a guy who still gets to practice and play and make money and all that. So I can understand both sides of why it would be a benefit. I can also understand why they both might go different directions.
Yeah, and this has nothing to do with Indiana landing a big or that taking up a scholarship spot to land a big. There's still room. This is not preventing them from doing that. They have just made the decision that they're going to.
Scholarship thing's a joke now anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can go up to 15.
Anthony Leal's an in-state guy that be in graduate school taking the minimum amount or whatever. Like he probably wouldn't even take up a scholarship just because they could just give him money and he could pay it.
Yeah, but they have the room. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you've got the expanded 15, go up to 15 scholarships now.
Right.
Hey, we haven't talked about the game, the big game. The Indiana Pacers are in a position to put themselves in a place they've never been. Just a whisker away from an NBA championship. They won an ABA championship. They would join San Antonio as the only team. Well, I bet San Antonio never won an ABA championship. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Curious as if any of those old ABA teams. Well, there was only 4 that came over. So, but the Pacers, man, if they had to win game 3,
right,
or they were not going to win the series. And to me, they have to win game 4 or they're not going to win the series. It's the same thing. If you lose, you've lost home court advantage and you're going back to Oklahoma City with them having momentum. So they have to win this game. And there's a stat that we saw yesterday that of a 1-1 series, the team that wins game 3 goes on to win 80% of the time. That's going in the Pacers' favor. And now if they can get this win at home tonight, that has to make them feel pretty damn good.
If they go up 3-1, it changes the perspective and it changes the narrative completely. It's going to be hard to do. Like, it's been interesting. It's been interesting to see it. You see people saying they don't see Indiana winning another game. Like, that's certainly the way the public.
Well, that was in Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
in Oklahoma City.
And so, like,
But I never saw him winning a game in Oklahoma City. You
totally agree. Totally agree. And they were down by double digits 90 to 95% of the time they played in Oklahoma City. The fact they got out of there 1-1 that's the miracle. That's the blessing that you have right now. And what they should be fighting for, it's stupid to say because they're not, but they should be fighting to win game 4 to make it 2-2. They're in a great position to be able to try to win game 4 to make it 3-1. And the Pacers have not played great yet. Like, they've played good. They've had stretches of playing pretty darn good, but they've not played one of those games where you're not going to beat them, no matter who it is. And boy, game 4 would be a great time for that. Because if you can take a 3-1 lead, you're in a whole new ball game.
A game? You mean a game like where you score 80 points in the first half?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like one of those where, I mean, if I said right now, name a player who's been hot for the first 3 games, I think you'd probably struggle to come up with some because no one's played great. You know, you could say Neesmith back in the New York series, like he had a couple games, he was unbelievable. Siakam had 2 games, he scored over 35. Like you could say that. You can't say that in this one. And game 4 would be just a big time for that to happen. Because if you go up 3-1, the expectations for everyone changes. Like all the people that have picked Oklahoma City outside of Oklahoma City and the players on that team, everyone else is going to change the narrative to where the Pacers should win.
Yeah, and the Pacers are going to have an opportunity for more bench guys to step up because Jarris Walker is out and Miles Turner apparently stayed in bed yesterday, according to whoever just said that. I just missed it. But anyway, and so you can't be shorthanded. But then that's the thing Indiana's done, though. Guys like Thomas Bryant have stepped up. Benedict Mathurin, 27 points off the bench. TJ McConnell, he's a killer, man. He's a gnat that won't leave you alone.
Yeah, I mean, he scored 10 points in the last game, but all of his points were important. And then those steals that he got it was 2 steals. So, yeah, it gains you 2 possessions. But what it did was change that. Yeah, it was actually, you're right. It was 3 because he stole that one where they threw it in bounds and he got it right into the basket.
And they scored on every one of those. That's a 12-point turnaround.
It's a momentum. The whole arena was going nuts. They love him anyway. You know, he's like a fan favorite. So when he does that, the place goes insane. And hey, yes, I know Oklahoma City is an awesome environment. Like everyone has talked about what a great place that is to play. I'm not making this up and saying Indiana's just different. It is different. Everyone that comes here says that. Almost everyone that comes here says that. And it is just different. Like the fans, are they any louder? Probably not. But it just affects the city differently, and you can feel it as an opposing player.
And Indianapolis will be electric today. I know the rain might dampen it a little bit, but it will be electric. Friday, Indianapolis, forget work. Man, people they'll go in at 9 and they're done by 11:30, baby. It's out the door.
I heard the bars downtown saying that people have been showing up 3 hours before game time, like staking out their area in the bars because it's been that busy downtown. And I mean, it's just, people just want to be around it, especially in an opportunity to go up 3-1, because if they go up 3-1 downtown, will be insane tonight.
Yeah, it will be a party, that is for sure. And man, I'd love to see it happen. That would be incredible. Cool. And cool. I was thinking about this yesterday, and someone made the comment, Philip, if the Pacers win the NBA Finals, it's the most improbable NBA champion since whom? I was thinking that same thing. Dallas Mavericks, interesting coincidence. No, they had
because he was coaching the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh,
that's why he's saying it's coincidence.
But
I mean, this would be a bigger surprise, I think, than that even. Like, I don't know what you would compare it to, but I get the reference of what you're making there with Rick Carlisle coaching both teams and all that. I get it. But, you know,
this is a year where we had Oklahoma City, of course, that just thrashed everybody. But you also had Boston and Cleveland reigning world champion, and in Cleveland, who looked like they were going to be the world champion.
And then New York Knicks, who played their best basketball at the right time. So, yeah, you have to be fortunate. I don't care. When we go back and talk about the Bulls, there were some years where the Bulls had fortunate teams get beat that they did not have to play against. All that, like, that doesn't mean they wouldn't have beat them anyway, but sometimes the path just works itself out and gets you there. And these guys have taken advantage of the opportunity and put themselves in an incredible position. And to think about winning an NBA championship and to say the Indiana Pacers would be the NBA champs, I mean, it's almost sounds crazy, but they're pretty darn close to it. 2 wins away.
Yeah, I may have to get a T-shirt for that one, man.
That'd be sweet. We'll do it.
I did go online and look at some of those T-shirts they're selling now. I'm like, oh hell no, I'm not paying $40.
Yeah, wait till after. It'll be $5.
Oh yeah, exactly. 40. I'm like, whoop, nope, not me, man, not me. But yeah, what an exciting time. Of course, this is always a great basketball place. We all know that. But this just accentuates it, man.
Yeah,
it's been an opportunity to put Indianapolis on display. And if the rain would stop, that would be just another thing to add to that.
Yeah, it would. It's going to seem like a really short summer, I think, because we're used to, as Indiana people, you kind of have the whole summer off, meaning May and June. And they're going to be playing basketball into well past the middle of June. And then basketball is going to start back up again. Indiana goes on a trip in August, and football starts in August and September. And so it's going to seem like a short summer, I think, because we're so vested in this Pacer team all the way through, past mid-June.
You're exactly right. And it's going to carry us through Big Ten football media days next month.
That's crazy.
Next month. And then and the summer camp football, boom. And then you're right. It's here. And then Puerto Rico in August. So it doesn't stop anymore. It's always been year round with other things, but at least you had some good valleys. Well, those valleys somebody came along with a bulldozer and just filled all those valleys in. There's no more valleys, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like I said, we usually watch the NBA finals, but we're not vested in it like we are with this group of people. Having the Pacers and how exciting, how much fun they are to watch even. I'm telling you, it just is changed the whole summer, I think, for a lot of Pacers fans and people around. I'm usually looking forward to watching the U.S. Open all weekend long. And I mean, what a day for sports for me. I get to watch the U.S. Open.
I forgot about the U.S. Open.
6:30 a.m. this morning. I'm watching it all the way through, and I'll be watching a basketball game until 11 o'clock tonight. So yeah, what a fun day.
It's a Todd Liry day, baby.
It is that.
JJ Spawn currently leading the U.S. Open. I forgot about that at Oakmont Country Club. Where is that? Oakmont, where?
Pittsburgh.
I was going to say, I thought it was
Pittsburgh,
Pennsylvania. Yeah. Victor Hovland up there. Brooks Koepka. Oh, Brooks Koepka. I haven't seen his name for a minute.
Yep.
How about that? I don't see Todd Liry, man. Are you further down?
Yeah, no, I'm a spectator. Spectator on that one.
A stat that I heard yesterday for Tyrese Halliburton, games that Indiana has won, he's averaging 20-something points a game, all that. Games that they've lost, he's like at 11 points.
Well, when he has 20 points and 10 assists, they're 20-1. Like 20-1. Let's think about that. So, I mean, that just tells you, I thought he would make a conscious effort of being more involved in the offense in the first half. I think he has to do this. I still don't think he was selfish enough. And I hope he comes out in this game and this could be this could be that breakout game for the Pacers. This could be that game where they shoot the ball well. They haven't shot the ball well yet in these finals. So, boy, game 4 would be a magical time for that.
Oh, you talk about an explosion.
Oh, boy.
And that would start from Gamebridge and ripple all the way throughout the state.
Yes,
absolutely. Also, I don't know if you've been following along, but the Knicks are having a little bit of trouble finding a head coach. They cannot they keep getting turned down by not necessarily the coaches per se, but multiple teams have refused permission to talk to their guy. And why would you? I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Hell no, you can't talk to my coach.
I mean, the fact that they fired a coach that was one game away
to the
from
playoffs,
making it to the conference made it to the conference finals. It's a tough place. I mean, for a joke's perspective, do we insert the name Mike Woodson right now? Back to, I mean, he's coached them before. I'm sure it's been. I was
joking about that with Rick Bozich. I was texting. I'm like, going, hey, they're making room for Mike Woodson, and somebody else just made that. Russell said NBA rumors, Mike Woodson wild card for the Knicks head. Hey, if they keep getting turned down, it might come to that for them.
I mean, you never know. This would it shock anybody to be a scenario where they ended up hiring Thibodeau back? Wouldn't shock me. There had to be something going on with that. There had to be a personality conflict or something. And who knows the behind the scenes, but firing him for the job done surprised me.
Yeah. But doesn't surprise me coming from the Knicks. They've done some of that, brother.
Train wreck.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Enjoy watching golf and basketball today.
No doubt.
I will. Probably if you were Pat Graham, you'd have a bucket of wings sitting next to you in the recliner, and
that dude doesn't care. That dude is out on the lake somewhere. He'd have a bucket of wings on the lake. Yeah.
That's funny. Todd Liry, the shot father from myjumpshot.com. Make sure if you have any kids, know any kids, or anyone that's needing basketball fundamentals upgraded, go to myjumpshot.com. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks, boss. Have a good weekend.
You betcha. We've got more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. I hope you are having a great day and ready for the weekend. Looks like the rain is going to set in, man, and for days. But basketball tonight, U.S. Open to watch. And then I guess when's the next NBA game after they play tonight? They have 3-game stretch after that, or 3-day stretch after that, I guess. Monday night, maybe, but or Tuesday. I think they start to stretch it out. But Pacers, man, hopefully they can get that done tonight and put themselves in that position. That would be crazy. Mentioned earlier, JJ Spawn leading the U.S. Open right now at 4 under. Of course, that'll change, and that could change by the time that comes out of my mouth. Looking through there, some names that are jump out. Brooks Koepka tied for 4th. Let's keep going down, right? Adam Scott tied for 9th. Looking for the bigger names, but there's so many international players in these huge events.
And I think it's the U.S. Open is the one that's always set up where it is just ridiculously hard. Sometimes I've seen greens that were just crazy putts. Still looking down through there, man. Of course, early on, scores will change, but wow, I'm going Xander Schauffele tied for 29th. I'm still down through there. I'm looking for bigger names. Bryson DeChambeau, he's at 3 over, puts him in a tie for 41st right now. Jordan Spieth down at 41st as well at 3 over. So these guys are going to have to make a run, but I'm sure they can do that. They've got 3 more days to get that taken care of. Down at Oakmont Country Club, or over at Pittsburgh. Zach Osterman will be joining us in the next hour. Talk a little bit more about these team camps and more importantly about the recruiting visits that are coming in as well. Indiana, a big month for June. Football, they're killing it, man. Kurt Signetti and crew, they're landing big time commitments from guys. They have really upgraded. There's a definitive upgrade in the quality of recruits that are coming in to Indiana right now, without question. 3- and 4-star guys, and they're all 3- and 4-star guys, and that is quite different. It used to be, some below, maybe it's call them 1 stars or no stars. A lot of no stars, 2 stars, a lot of 3 stars with some 4 stars, and that is it's been moved up. So it's going to make a difference that you'll see on the floor. And I think that difference will be seen quickly next season. Now, I'm not writing the season off by any means. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about, because of these guys, what it will look like. It's going to be different when they start getting this extra level of talent in, man. And they're in the running. They're recruiting up against some big guys, some big names. Ohio State right now, they're up against Ohio State and Oregon and the likes of that for a 4-star quarterback. So they're doing the job. We've got lots more coming up. Take a break. Zach Osterman will be joining us, back with plenty more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. You've made it. It's the weekend. It's here. You don't have to wait any longer, but man, wasn't a bad week. We made it through, and the weather's been okay so far through this June. Haven't had any scorchers yet. It's been okay, to be honest with you. I did not expect this rain, and if you were listening earlier, I left my sunroof open on purpose because I had left it open previously and was airing it out and not quite starting over. But I thought I was like, is that rain? And I'm like, oh my. But Zach Osterman joining us here in just a little bit, and looking forward to talk more about the multiple visits. But and on the football side, you have to be impressed with what Kurt Signetti and crew are doing. The guys that they're bringing in and getting commitments from. So that's only going to continue and get better. Indiana has never had a 5-star recruit in football, not one. That I thought that might change this year, to be honest with you, but I think it will take another season of similar play to what we saw last season for those upper level guys to start migrating to Indiana, but they're getting close. I alluded before we broke that Indiana is bumping up against the bigs now for there's a 4-star quarterback, Luke Fahey, and he's one of the top quarterbacks in the 2026 class that has not already made his decision. And so, Indiana is firmly in the conversation here. Great story about that up on the Hoosier.com right now. But they're bumping up against Ohio State, and who has not even offered him yet. He's holding out, hoping. Oregon in the picture as well. So this is one that if Indiana could land, it would make a difference. It would be a mark. It would be something that people take notice of. It would be something that recruits take notice of. That makes a difference. When other recruits see that happening, it kind of opens up the gates, and they all want to be a part of it. People like being a part. Yeah, it's great to go to the Ohio States of the world and whatnot, but there's other reasons that drive these guys as well. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star joining us now. Zach, I was just talking about Indiana football recruiting it's just been killing it basically, and it's elevated the level of guys that are coming in. It used to be some no-star guys, 2 stars and 3 stars with maybe a few 4 stars. Well, now it's starting at the 3-star level, and they're in the 4 stars, bringing in a lot of the quality is just increased, and they're in the mix for big-time recruits like quarterback Luke Fahey going up against the Ohio States of the world now in Oregon and trying to get his services, and they have a legit shot there. But Indiana has put itself on the map as far as a destination to go. Indiana football has never had a 5-star. I thought that might change this year, but I think it'll take another season like last year to, I guess, get that going up another level yet.
Yeah, I think they've signed a couple kids who at one point or another might have been 5 stars, but like transfers, but I don't think they've ever signed one out of high school. I mean, listen, it's hard to know what kind of to make of high school recruiting anymore. I mean, the calendar has changed so much. You know, I mean, you got kids that are committing now in April that probably would have been committing in November, 10 years ago. And then, of course, there's sort of the eternal question of the portal. And I think, even coaches are a little bit susceptible to this, where, a coach will say, what we want is a nice balance, right? We want like 20, every class to be 20 kids we signed out of high school and 10 more transfers. And then you put them in the moment and you sort of say, well, do you want to take a high school player and develop them, or would you rather go try and find a 1 or 2 year, transfer that's got college experience. And in that moment, they go small C conservative and they reach for the proven player. Undeniably, this class is shaping up really well for Indiana. There's a long way to go in terms of both, keeping the players you have and adding more quality, more depth in the areas you need. But, listen, if you've got Big Ten resources, if you've got a healthy NIL setup, and if you've got a successful product on the field, those are things that, especially in the modern game, are going to translate pretty quickly in recruiting. And I think you're seeing that for Indiana.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have done a great job heading into this season and doing a great job of in-state recruiting, especially recently this week. Also, Cavante Hugan, a Louisville commit, flipped to Indiana. That's a pretty good get. Edge rusher on the defensive side, and Indiana still battling. They're not going to get all of the in-state recruits, but that's a good one to get.
It is. And, that's one of those positions, too, out there on the edge where sometimes it almost feels a little bit like those players are so important that, you almost take the way that baseball franchises treat starting pitching. You just sort of you try to get to a certain quantity where at least one or two of them will develop into the player you need, rather than just saying we're going to take one and we think he's got all the tools. You almost want two or three on the average that over let's say a 3-year cycle. You only need one of those to become a real star. But that has become, in many ways, maybe the most important position on defense. It's either that or, corner in the modern game. So, to be winning recruiting battles for high-level players there is probably a lot closer to what winning recruiting battles looks like for, for example, let's say a quarterback or a high level tackle that can really anchor your offensive line. That's Indiana fans kind of got a taste of that last year with Mikael Kamara. That's how important that position can be for your defense. If you can get somebody that's really disruptive, really productive in the pass rush and against the run as well. And so winning those recruiting battles should mean a little bit more, even if, again, not every one of these players is going to wind up turning into a star, but it's still, the more you kind of rack up the talent at a position like that, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. And this is the kid that won the MVP at Florida State's offensive and defensive line camp as well. So they're getting a good one there. And there another story. I don't want to get too deep into it, but the IU Board of Trustees has unanimously approved the resolution to indemnify Brad Bomba Sr. They had a study or a investigation, an independent investigation, and so they look like they're trying to move forward in this.
Yeah. So and I don't understand kind of all the details of this, but indemnifying is I think largely a procedural thing. It basically guarantees like protection for Bomba. I think essentially legally, but obviously in this case, there's going to be a financial aspect to that if these lawsuits go forward. And I think this sort of action from the Board of Trustees was essentially endorsing the findings of the Jones Day report, which was the independent report, or not endorsing, but sort of accepting and acknowledging those findings and saying, we have this bulk of evidence here that basically suggests there was no wrongdoing. So indemnifying Brad Bamba means sort of bringing him, if I understand it correctly, almost kind of under the legal umbrella of the university's defense in these potential lawsuits, these potential court filings. And so I think it's procedural more than anything else, but it was a meaningful step. And it was it was something that had to be voted on by the Board of Trustees. That gives you an idea of sort of the formal importance of it.
And I know that this is obviously something that not IU and everyone would like to get past as soon as possible with all of the good things that are going on at IU. And hopefully they can find a resolution to this matter as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and I have obviously kept up with this like a lot of other folks. Mike Nyslak's covered a little bit more of it for us than I have, but I think a lot of that's just a lot of that now is just a question basically of legal action, and whether cases are ruled they can be heard. I think there have been further, suggestions of further legal filings against Bamba that kind of haven't necessarily, what is the word I'm looking for? Haven't materialized, publicly yet. But a lot of this is basically just, I think we're at a stage where the next step is determining whether these cases will even go to trial, and then B, if they do, what the outcomes will be there.
Yeah, hopefully that gets resolved sooner rather than later. You're in Indianapolis, obviously, or no, you're in Bloomington, but Indianapolis is just going to be a hopping spot today. But you've also got these ICE protests that are going on downtown at the same time, and just a huge day in Indianapolis up there with all that's going on. And man, I would not want to be in that mess for anything. Now you throw some rain into the picture, but the Pacer fans, they are ready for this, man, and they are ready to turn this town inside out.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was asked about this by someone this morning, and what I said was, I think people kind of forget how long the Pacers have actually been around in Indianapolis. I mean, they are the oldest professional franchise, or at least major league franchise in the city. They are obviously there's the cultural importance of basketball, but you also think of, if we think of who like the sort of, athletic icons of Indianapolis are, so many of them are Pacers: Mel Daniels, Al McGinnis, Reggie Miller, Jermaine O'Neal, and obviously this team has, I think, captured the imagination of a lot of fans. And I think there's probably, I think they really embrace almost kind of the idea of the Pacers and the Fever being these two tides that lift one another. But this is as popular as the Colts are, and as popular as just frankly NFL football is. In Indianapolis, this is the franchise with the most historical sort of rooting in the city. This was the city's first professional franchise. It is it's a franchise that's always been downtown. Obviously, what is the word? Consistent ownership, local ownership, throughout its existence. You even think about, some of the, like George McGinnis is a great example of former Pacers, and there are other examples too. I'm thinking of, is it Ralph? I can't remember his name all of a sudden. I feel bad. His last name. Yes, thank you.
I don't know where I pulled that out of.
But either way, it's even a franchise that has, if you want to call them sort of local heroes, and has sort of furthered its roots in the city that way. I mean, a Pacers NBA title, I think, would be something distinct in the something very distinct in sort of the sporting history of Indianapolis because of what the Pacers have meant.
Absolutely. And going all the way back to the Bobby Leonard and his wife leading the drive. I mean, that's just what a great, if they could come full circle, it's such a shame that Bobby Leonard and his wife aren't here together to see this, because that team was done. They did a telethon on TV to save this team. There's never been anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there are a lot of people, that in different ways, people will think of. I think Slick would obviously be one. Big George would be another. I'm struggling for my memory of sort of the Simon family lineage, but I believe the member of the family that brought the Pacers to Indianapolis is no longer with us, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to push my vote out too far on that, but all that is kind of a reminder, though, of just how long the Pacers have been around, and that. It's worth saying that is how you gain this sort of cultural agency. When I was a kid growing up in Atlanta, one of the consistent criticisms of Atlanta sports fans was that they didn't turn up. But when you looked around, you sort of thought, like when the Braves won the World Series in '95, they were the oldest major league franchise in the city. They'd only been in the city 29 years at that point. And it's a very different sports town now, Atlanta, because it has had time to develop fan bases, to really sort of sink roots into generations of its citizens. And now it's a very different place from the perspective of how the city engages with its professional teams, attendance and interest and excitement and all those different things. The Pacers have that in Indianapolis. And when you talk about, people that aren't with us anymore that have meant something, I saw someone in the comments down there also mention Roger Brown, who passed away many years ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sort of, I understand what you're saying, and I think a lot of people feel that way, that, there are going to be people that win or lose, you're going to look around and feel like, I wish so-and-so could have seen this. Everyone's going to have a family member who feels that way, or they feel that way about, but that in itself is a reminder of just how long the team has been in the city and how deep its roots sink into the city. And that is part of why it would be special and it would be different, I think, if the Pacers win an NBA title.
Absolutely. What's up next for you, Zach?
I'm probably going to get some time off here at a certain point.
What is that? What is that you speak of? Time off. Well, enjoy it, brother. Don't work too hard. You've made it to the weekend at least.
Yeah, we all did. So thanks for having me, Jim. You get some time off too, my friend.
Appreciate you, brother. We'll enjoy it. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Appreciate you. Zach Osterman, the IU beat writer for the Indy Star, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got more coming up, and we'll bring it to you after this.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. It is Friday. Let me say that again. It is Friday. Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com joins us now. We kicked Alec off for the weekend. So get out of here. Get out of here. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. Like you said, it's Friday. It's a little gross outside, but hey, it's still the weekend, so we can't complain too much.
Well, you didn't leave your sunroof open, did you?
I did not. I don't have a sunroof.
I know someone who did.
Was it you?
Well, yes, it was. Yes, it was. I'm the idiot in question. A lot going on this weekend at IU. These team camps. How many teams are there? I didn't bother to count them because look at that chart. I'm like, holy crap. It's probably not as many teams as you think, but there's a lot of games.
I would say the games run from 8 to 5, and there's a game every hour. There's 3 games every hour.
Goes to 6, I believe.
So yeah, I would say probably you're looking at 20 plus, at least 20 to 30 teams. I would say it's a good group, and of course you've got some teams that are out of state. I think there's a team from Illinois, and I think there's 4 teams from Kentucky, and then most of them are local. Then you got like Fisher's coming in, Penn all the way up there coming down. They're just kind of spread out all over the place. I love these team camps. You know, Purdue does one, Notre Dame does one. I love them. Just the fact, June is my favorite month when it comes to the summer basketball because they're all with their high school teams. It's not AAU. AAU is great and all, but it's its own different beast, So I like these high school camps, and I think it's a much better evaluation process seeing these guys play with their high school teams.
And it is very important for the schools, no matter if it's a Purdue camp, IU camp, whomever camp, getting those guys into your facilities. That's not a visit, not an unofficial visit, not an official visit. It's like a free visit for if there's guys that you're looking at and wanting to talk to and all that. So it's kind of a little extra bonus.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I think everyone knows what these kind of team camps are for, right? Obviously, you make a little money on the side, but of course, for the head coaches and stuff, and it's not an official evaluation period and stuff. But like you said, you get them on your campus. It's a free visit. And then a lot of these guys are just guys that the coaches, are seeing for the first time, especially if you think of DeVries and stuff. There's going to be some guys, especially the younger class, like the 2028 prospects that will be in attendance. It's really maybe his first time seeing these guys. So, it's really beneficial, for the high school teams, for the college coaches, and just everybody that's involved with these type of team camps.
Earlier in the week, Darren DeVries and his staff were down in Rock Hill, South Carolina, watching the NBPA Top 100. Who are they watching? What did they see?
Let's see. I think Lamont is it Allman? Is that his last name?
Yeah. Latrell Allman.
Latrell Allman, sorry, I couldn't think of his name right now. But he was a guy that they were watching. Anthony Thompson, a guy that's kind of been on the radar for Indiana, was offered by the previous staff. Those were kind of the main guys, but I think a lot of them, and Sammy Jackson, he was one of them as well. He's actually coming in for a visit.
Right.
Those were kind of the main guys that they were watching and stuff. And of course, there's a ton of talent, at those top 100 camps. So there's probably some new guys that popped up on the radar as well. But I would say, there's a good core group of guys that they were already recruiting, but I'm curious to see if there's any new guys that come out of this, any new offers that they could probably extend off of the 100 camp. But the whole staff was there. I think besides Nick Norton, I don't think he was there, but they were all there out in full force. So that's always a good sight to see.
And these guys, they're not just throwing out offers. They are actively recruiting these guys, and it's going to pay dividends without question next season for that group. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But big visits. You mentioned this weekend you got the visit coming from Sammy Jackson. We've got too many names going on now.
Right?
But there's a big visit each weekend in the month of June for Indiana basketball.
Yeah, there is. Sammy Jackson this weekend. I think he gets in tonight, and it's going to run through Sunday. So he's obviously going to be on campus throughout the weekend and stuff. Don't know if you'll see him at the team camp. Obviously, he's not playing in it, but maybe you could see him walking around or whatever and stuff. But, the coaches are probably going to be pretty occupied with that and everything. So making sure his visit goes well. Prince Alexander Moody, he's towards the end of the month. Probably blanking on another name as well. So many visits set up, but I do know that those guys are kind of the main guys that they're looking at and stuff. But the most important thing is that they're getting these visits right, and you got to get them on campus. There's guys that that they've kind of circled in on, targeted and stuff. And I think for the most part, DeVries, the guys that he's actively recruiting the most, he is getting those guys on campus, and I think that's the big thing. So the Sammy Jackson visit, very, very important, rising, versatile playmaker, a guy that can just really do a lot when it comes to the perimeter play and stuff. And he's a guy that kind of fits what DeVries wants. Same with like Prince Alexander Moody towards the end of the month when he comes to visit. I'm a big fan of him. I've loved watching him play on the EYBL circuit. So he's another guy, 3-and-D type of player that I think would fit in DeVries' system. So it just makes sense. Obviously these guys are all talented and whatnot and stuff, but the guys that they're getting on campus just makes sense for what DeVries wants in his system.
And then, of course, Luigi, I don't know how to say it, Suego.
Don't ask me.
7'3" center. Is he coming in this Tuesday?
He will be in, I think it's next Tuesday. I think he visits Purdue earlier in the week, and then I think right after that he'll come to Indiana for a visit. So he's kind of doing the trip there. So, and you see a lot of that with these international guys. They obviously want to knock out a bunch of visits, on their visit here over in the United States. But rarely have you seen a guy just go from Purdue to Indiana, trying to sweep through all the state of Indiana.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not. He has no understanding of what that means. Of what I would think.
Right.
And when he goes to Purdue, man, that's a hard recruiting trip to go up against, because Matt Painter can just not say a word and just say, use his hand and go, look at this, with what they've done with the bigs, and what's on their bench. And, Matt Painter he's Mr. Big, to steal a phrase from the old Sex in the City. He's Mr. Big, but Indiana needs a big desperately. So maybe that is something that can play into that. But a question that someone asked, and I missed it, but can he reclassify?
I mean, there's a possible chance, right? I think with the international guys, it's a little bit more, I wouldn't say easier, but a little bit more likely that they do. I think a lot of the international guys do actually do that. They've been playing in pro leagues, for the last few years and stuff. So it's probably easier for him to do that. But I don't know if he would or not. I don't get that feeling that he would and stuff. But I do think that, DeVries, you mentioned they need bigs and stuff. I think DeVries is, actively recruiting bigs. You think of Isaiah Hill, just offered them last weekend. One of the best rim protectors in high school basketball levels. So they are actively recruiting bigs. Obviously, this upcoming season, Indiana's going to be a little bit smaller and stuff, but we'll kind of see how that affects them or not. It may work out beneficial to them, but it may be a learning period to where, the reason hey, I got to get some big guys. I got to get some true rim protectors. And those are the type of guys that he's offering right now, just in case,
Are there any recruits out there named Mario if they happen to land Luigi?
I don't know.
I mean, how would that be? Mario to Luigi for the score.
That'd be the greatest thing ever. And I'm sure people that print that I'm sure that people that print t-shirts would absolutely love that. So
man,
we need that.
We'd have to get it on that first, man. We got to get ahead of we got to keep thinking. So if we can find a Mario, we can or maybe you can just nickname somebody that.
We got to get the Hoosier.com merch store up and running and stuff. So we need a Luigi and Mario
that would be a great start. That would be a great start. And by the way, the staff over there, including Kyler, they're killing it, man, with the content that has been coming out. You guys are just putting it out, quality after quality content and great stories, inside information from what's been going on in practice. And I don't want to talk too much about that because it's at the Hoosier.com, but I've heard some positive things about what's been going on in the summer workouts early on.
Yeah, it's been positive. And first of all, we've got a great staff at the Hoosier.com. We worked really, really hard. Alex done a great job. Zach, Colin, Drew, myself, I'll even include myself, humble brag there, but
absolutely. You are absolutely included.
I think, we got a great staff, and of course, sign up. It's only $1 for your first month and then 50% off. You're getting great information, but back to your question. Yeah, there's been some positive things to come out of Indiana. Don't want to dive in too much in that, obviously, because that's kind of an exclusive for the Hoosier.com, but some good things. I think the one guy I will mention, Trent Sisley, sounds like he's been doing really, really well, and he's kind of surprised them in a way. Obviously, they knew coming in he's a very, very talented freshman, but the way that he's came in, just the improvements that he's made overall in his game from that 1 year down in Montverde Academy, physically, him coming in and being able to compete against these, fifth year guys, coming in, more experienced guys and just holding his own. I think that's great. And then there's some positive things about Sam Alexis, Tate Connerway, those guys, Lamar Wilkerson, obviously he's the shooter and he's going to be the guy that's going to probably lead them in 3-point shooting this year. So a lot of good positive things, we're going to keep rolling them out, at the Hoosier.com. So definitely need to subscribe so you get all that information to keep things a little bit more busy during the summer.
Boy, and we're already getting the questions of who's going to start this, that. I'm like, easy now. I've got one starter that I will guarantee if healthy, and that is Tucker DeVries.
Yep. And
other than that, I will leave that alone. But it would be crazy to predict, like for Trent Sisley. I doubt it's very unlikely that he's going to be starting. But hey, you never know. He could just continue to improve over the summer. The thing I do know about Trent is he comes from a great basketball family. His brother was a very good basketball player. His dad was a good basketball player. His dad has been, very influential in helping him and guide him make the right decisions and become a better player. But ultimately, Trent Sisley is the one that has to put the work in and has done that and continues to do that. And that's the kind of player Indiana has been lacking, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a fan favorite. He's going to put into work. He's going to be a guy that, wants to improve and be better and better every time he steps out onto the floor and stuff. But obviously, his role this upcoming season's a little bit up in the air. Obviously, there's a lot of experienced guys, in his positional group. So it'll be interesting. I do think that he will carve out a spot in the rotation. I don't know exactly how many minutes that's going to be, but when you think of the rotation in general, the starting lineup, I think we'll have a little bit better feeling once they hit that Puerto Rico trip and see what they do. And even then, I think all 3 games you're probably going to see maybe some different starting groups. Tucker DeVries, obviously, he's the guaranteed probably starter right there. I would even probably throw in Lamar Wilkerson. He's probably going to start. I think you can guarantee those 2 guys. Reed Bailey as well. Guaranteed those 3 guys, and then up in the air to see what kind of Indiana wants to do with the front court, who they want their starting point guard to be. Is it Tate Connerway? Is it Connor Enright? Those guys. So I think you will see a better feel of what this starting group will look like. And even then, after the Puerto Rico trip, there's going to be some positives. There's going to be some negatives. That's just kind of how these trips are. So, take everything with a grain of salt. And obviously, we'll kind of see once the fall gets rolling and, the season actually starts, kind of what those rotations and what those lineups are going to be.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Reed Bailey's role, exactly how it's going to lay out.
Yeah, I think he's going to be obviously starting in the front court. It just all dependent on, how small Darian DeVries wants to go. Does he want to start Sam Alexis alongside with him? Does he want to start Josh Harris alongside with him? Does he just want, Reed Bailey to be that main front court guy and maybe, have a Tucker DeVries next to him in kind of a small ball situation? So I think he's going to be a pretty big, important factor. I think he'll be the most important front court player that they have. A guy that can step out and shoot. He's improved that, in his game over the past few years. And a guy that's just a playmaker, a good passer, and, as a big guy and a guy that can really score around the rim. And I think defensively, I think he's pretty underrated in that aspect as well. He's not going to be a rim protector, a true rim protector like, that you want to see kind of how bigs in the Big Ten play. But I think he's going to cause a lot of problems for the opposing big guys. The opposing big guys are going to have to go out there and guard him on the wing. So, I think he's going to be really fun to watch. I think it's a very, very underrated pickup for Indiana. I think it's one that hasn't been talked about, nearly enough is what I think it should be. So I think he's going to surprise some people. I think he's going to be really, really good and just really consistent for DeVries and his team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting and fun to watch this team develop. I think that at the very minimum, you're going to see a team that busts their ass every game and tries to do any and everything to win. Jumping back to recruiting, and I've already forgotten what I was going to ask you. It was such a great question, so I'm going to have to fake it and think of another one right now. So what is Indiana looking for next year right now in these guys that they're out watching at in South Carolina, whether it's at the team camps or whatever? Who are they looking for?
I think in general, they're still looking at guys. It'll be pretty similar, probably not as, transfer portal heavy, obviously, but I think they're similar the way that they recruited the transfer portal this year, positional versatility. I think they're looking for guys that you can come in and, play, multiple different spots. I think that's kind of DeVries' kind of calling card there. Obviously he wants a team that's going to be tough and gritty on the defensive end, guys that can get out in transition, but he also wants guys that can play multiple spots, not just pigeonholed to, you're only a front court player or you're only a point guard. He wants guys that can do multiple different things. And I think
positionless basketball.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And that's how the guys that he's going to get, with that. So don't think, other than maybe a few exceptions, don't think that a single guy in a DeVries system is stuck to one position. There's going to be guys that they kind of put in. And that's the kind of feel that I'm getting with the high school guys that they're recruiting, the guys that they won in their system, the guys that are coming for visits, Alexander Moody, Sammy Jackson. Those are guys that are perfect examples. So positional versatility, guys that, will go out and offend and will just be gritty and hard-nosed players.
I remember what I was going to ask now. The one positive about having this complete new staff is, well, for one, it's a hell of a staff, a great staff they put together. But not only did you put together a great staff, it's one that already was actively recruiting and had relationships with good recruits. Rod Clark specifically at Tennessee, deep into recruiting there. And so that's kind of a little jump starter for some of these guys for Indiana.
Yeah, like I think it jumpstarts a perfect word for that. Obviously they're starting from scratch to a certain extent, but Rod Clark, Kenny Johnson, Drew Adams, those guys, even DeVries as well, and Nick Norton, I'll throw him in as well. Those guys already had previous relationships with a lot of these recruits. A lot of the guys that you've seen Indiana offer. Kenny Johnson. You see the guys that they've offered or whatever. If you look back at their previous stops as coaches or whatever, they'd already offered these kids and they're kind of re-upping them. And obviously, they, as assistants, they have to sell like, oh, I think he fit perfect in this system, selling that to Coach DeVries, and DeVries obviously has to sign off on it. Okay, yes, we do want to go recruit this guy. But, they already had previous relationships. I think the big thing with this staff is just experience relationships. He built a really, really good staff of guys that cover pretty much all bases of the country. And I think that's obviously important when you build a staff, especially at, the high major level. You got to have guys that have great connections, that have experience, that know their area, that they can recruit and recruit well with. So, it's a perfect staff. It's a really good staff, starting from scratch to a certain extent, but just the experience and the relationships that they have, it's just priceless at the end of the day.
What's up next at the Hoosier.com over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so a lot of recruiting stuff. It is June, so we've got the IU team camp obviously tomorrow. I'll be there. I think Zach's going to come with me, so we'll have multiple guys there, covering out the event. We'll watch Fishers. Jason Gardner Jr. will be there. That's a big name. And then I'll be curious to see kind of, following around, seeing who the coaches are kind of, watching and stuff. I think there's a couple of 2028 prospects that they would probably watch, and there may be a few offers that are extended tomorrow as well. But, next week we've got the Charlie Hughes tournament, one of my favorite events of the summer. It's the best evaluation event, in the state of Indiana, and I would even argue in the country, to a certain extent. So we'll have full coverage with that. I'll be there all 3 days. And then, just keeping up, we got a lot of football stuff, and we'll try to knock out as many things as we possibly can. So we got a lot at the Hoosier.com. We got multiple stories, multiple posts, multiple forum updates, throughout the day. So definitely go in there and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it.
It is absolutely phenomenal. It's hard for me to even keep up trying to read that stuff, and I'm not kidding. Jason Gardner Jr., great name, great player, but no one has a chance on landing this dude, man. His dad is an assistant at Arizona.
That is the word. But I will say if there's I guess you could say, an area that would have a chance, possibly, it would be the state of Indiana. It'd be Purdue, it'd be Indiana, just because he's obviously lives here, and he's a well-known name. But it is going to be difficult, just being completely honest.
There ain't no way he's not going to play for his dad, man, especially since his dad was a superstar there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless he wants to escape that shadow, but I'm going to say no. I don't see. I would be shocked if anybody.
It would be a rarity. And I will say Jason Gardner Jr. in his own right, special player, really, really good player. One of my favorite players in the state to watch. Him alongside with Cooper Zachary on that Fishers team, the best backcourt in the state. So it'll be hard, but obviously we're going to keep up with any updates that we possibly have with him.
Who's the team to watch tomorrow?
Probably Fishers. I would say, Fishers. Yeah, they're not going away anywhere. They just got a guy, Kai McGrew, big front court player that just transferred from Lawrence North. He's going to be there. So this is kind of his first kind of unit, first time kind of running with this team this week and stuff. Penn would be another one. They got a 2028, probably going to be a nationally top 50 guy, and Caleb Coleman. Really, really good player and stuff. I'm excited to watch him. I've only seen him maybe a handful of times, so gonna watch him. But Fishers, Christmas Addicts will be there. Zionsville will be there, so there'll be a lot of good ones. My Bedford Stars will be there. So obviously, I don't think they're going to be as good as those other teams, but it'll still be nice to watch them.
Yeah, both Bloomington teams as well. So some
absolutely
flavor in that and going on there, brother. And that's the kind of information just to tip the iceberg that you get at the Hoosier.com, buddy. Appreciate you very much.
Yep. Thanks, Jim.
Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. We're going to take a pause for the cause. Back with more to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Friday. That makes it a great day no matter what. The weather not exactly beautiful out there with a little precipitation falling that I wasn't expecting, and I'm not sure if you were or not either, but I'm sure you're in all over the place. So it could be sun shining and 72 degrees. It's not that in Bloomington right now, but just looking at an article in the Indy Star, by the way, by Nat Newell, but talking about how Darren DeVries handles having his son Tucker on his team, and that's you don't really think about that a lot, but that is such a dynamic that has to be handled, because you have to be father and son and coach and player. And I cannot imagine the difficulty there, because I couldn't do it. I could not treat if it was my daughter, I couldn't treat somebody else the same as I do her, because in the way, because I feel my feelings for her, and that would impede probably some decisions sometime. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, like, putting somebody in and taking somebody out. Who knows what it could be, but it's just a tough dynamic to dance around. But the ones that do a good job of it, you have to just look at with great respect and love that. And I think that's something that Tucker and Darian have going for them. They have that. They found that balance where he can be a basketball player like everybody else is, and he's still Darren's son, which doubly good for them. Kind of cool though, as well. Think about that, for Darren DeVries, his first team at Indiana. If he happens to end up being a long timer, at least at Indiana, how cool is it that he got to start off his first team with his son? I mean, this is his only year, so it's a now or never thing, and fortunate for Indiana as well, obviously. But that's probably something he's going to look back on, as he's going to have a lot of memories from the first season as being the head coach at Indiana, but that has to be one that will stand out. So Darren did recently say that he expects Tucker to be available for IU's games in Puerto Rico, so it'd be good to get a look at him and what the team looks like with Tucker in the lineup, start to give us more of an indication. And by then we will have a better feel for, and I've seen several people list in the comments potential starting lineups, and they're probably not far off. I'll be honest with you. I mean, Tucker DeVries, Sam Alexis is going to start. Reed Bailey's going to start. Not solidified at the point yet, is all. But yeah, it's good. And I wonder are we going to see lineups that are just not the same all the time? Starting lineups, different game, different lineup depending upon the personnel of the other team. So it would be interesting to see. But and that Puerto Rico trip, very important for this team to bond and to get together. And that's what those trips are for. So those guys can go out and have fun with each other and just learn each other's tendencies and everything else, like a little mini marriage. Little mini marriages now being on a college basketball team, because you have so many new players each year. It's boom, boom, and a lot of fleeting relationships that I don't think I would enjoy bouncing from school to school. I know it would be, you could also say, oh man, it'd be cool, especially if you played for, 4 great programs. Well, that would be quite the experience. Can you imagine transferring from North Carolina to Kentucky to Indiana to Duke or to Kansas, whatever? That would be fun. I'm waiting for someone to attempt that. We've got all these different records that people have done. I'm waiting for someone to attempt to play for like 4 of the greats. That would be that'd be something. If that were me, I'd have those jerseys hanging on the wall. That would be pretty cool. That's the only thing. But it's also a shame though that you don't get to see the same guys around for a couple of years and see them grow, and to see how they get better, how the teams they're on get better, and how the fan base gets to interact with them and to fall in love or not with players, whether it's personality. And that's another thing. Fans don't get the opportunity as much now to learn personalities of the players. They're just not here long enough, and the opportunities that you hear from them are generally in press conferences, and so you're generally not getting the feel that you would in a different situation. And had they were, if they're there for a few years, because the longer you're there, obviously there's going to be other opportunities to be seen, to talk, to do other interviews, to do fun things. So yeah, it's a different time, and it's brought positives and it's brought different challenges. There's no doubt, but I keep saying it, man, college basketball and college football last season had to be, if not the best ever, one of the best ever, as far as the talent level of so many different teams, the fun that the college football playoffs were, the college football season, the college basketball season, the NCAA tournament. Those things were all really fun. And I think that's going to continue. And the water will find its level, and it will find, when NIL finally finds its ceiling, I think things may start to slow down a little bit. I think you'll see more multi-year deals. That's probably one of the reasons you have it now, because the damn ceiling keeps growing each year. So, man, another fun day, a fun week of shows, and cannot thank each and every one of you enough. Without you, it means nothing, and I greatly appreciate you. Also, thanks to, of course, to the Shot Father Todd Liry, Zach Osterman, and Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. Make sure you go to thehoosier.com. Sign up, support those guys. Just $1 for the first month and 50% off for your first year. Go out and have yourselves an incredibly great weekend. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.